Welcome to the Marketing Execution Podcast. This is the show for tech founders and leaders building B2B products and technologies. We show you how to go further, faster to get the business results you need.
From strategies to big except dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Today, we're focusing on how enterprise tech startups can leverage proven strategies from the book Good to Great. Jim Collins gives one of the best roadmaps for tech companies to win bigger and faster. You'll gain insights into deploying disciplined leadership and why nurturing a culture of rigorous accountability can drive your company from average to exceptional. Tim and I dissect strategies from the book first, developing a hedgehog concept to simplify complex decisions, then building a disciplined team aligned to your core mission, finally implementing technology not as a crutch but as an accelerator for your strategic objectives. Before we cut to the interview, make sure to subscribe to the Marketing Execution Podcast for weekly deep dives like this one. You will want to stay tuned until the end when we will unpack the nuances of transitioning from good to great with real-world applications and examples. Now, let's dive into the interview.
Mark, I came across something that really got me thinking about how we can shift our marketing strategies from just being good to truly outstanding.
Oh, spot on, Tim. It's all about elevating from good to great, isn't it? There are three major points that can totally reshape our understanding here. First, it's the concept of level 5 leadership. Then we have the idea of getting the right team on board. And finally, understanding the hedgehog concept.
Level 5 leadership? That sounds intriguing. Break that down for me.
Absolutely, Tim. So a level 5 leader isn't just your typical executive. They blend extreme personal humility with intense professional will. They're not in the spotlight because they want fame. They're there to drive their company to achieve great results.
So they're kind of like the silent heroes of the corporate world?
Exactly, Tim. They're more about making sure the company thrives long after they're gone rather than just basking in short-term achievements.
Got it. That leads us to the second point, right? Getting the right team?
Yes, and it's crucial, Tim. It's not just about assembling a team of high achievers. It's about getting people who buy into the long-term vision of the company. These are folks who debate vigorously but unite strongly once a decision is made.
Sounds like having the right people is more critical than having the right ideas initially.
You nailed it. It's like you can pivot and tweak ideas if you have the right team, but the wrong people can derail even the most brilliant strategies.
That's a solid insight. Now tell me about this hedgehog concept.
All right, so the hedgehog concept is essentially about simplifying your strategy down to one clear concept that you can be the best at. It's about understanding deeply what you can truly excel at, what drives your economic engine, and what you're deeply passionate about.
So it's about not spreading yourself too thin, huh?
Exactly, Tim. It's about focus. Great companies don't chase every opportunity. They focus on what they can do best and align all their resources to push that forward.
I see. So, applying these points, a business can really sharpen its focus and drive up results.
Absolutely, and it's about discipline too, sticking to that core concept without getting distracted by new fads or pressures.
Makes total sense, Mark. This isn't just about hard work, but also about smart work, right?
Spot on, Tim. It's about making sure every effort and every decision aligns perfectly with that central hedgehog concept.
I guess it also ties back to the leadership style, doesn't it? A level 5 leader would thrive in fostering this kind of focused and disciplined environment.
Right you are. It's all interconnected. The leadership drives the team, and together they all drive the core concept.
Mark, this is gold for any marketer listening to us on the Marketing Execution Podcast. It's not just about doing things right, but doing the right things.
Couldn't have put it better, Tim. It's about setting up a system where the right things naturally flow from a solid foundation. And that's what takes a company from good to great.
So, for all our listeners at the Marketing Execution Podcast, it's about looking inwards, understanding your core, your team, and your leadership style.
Absolutely, Tim. And once that's in place, the sky's the limit. These aren't just ideas, they're transformative strategies that have proven their worth across countless successful companies.
Mark, this discussion really unpacks what it means to not just grow, but grow wisely and sustainably. Thanks for such rich insights.
Always a pleasure, Tim. I love diving deep into these concepts and sharing how they can practically be applied.
Listeners, remember, it's about precision in your execution. Keep these points in mind and watch how they can turn your good strategies into great successes. All right, Mark, let's keep unpacking this in our next segments.
You know, Tim, this conversation really opens up a lot of avenues for reflection. Just yesterday, I was chatting with one of our frontline managers, and she brought up an interesting point about leadership that really ties into what we're discussing today.
Oh, that's intriguing, Mark. It seems like those frontline insights often get overlooked, but they're gold. What did she say?
She pointed out that the real drivers of change aren't always the big, flashy initiatives. It's about the quieter shifts, the ones that start small but really get the flywheel spinning, you know?
Absolutely, Mark. And speaking of getting things moving, you mentioned 3 key points earlier. Could we dig into the first one a bit more? This concept of a level 5 leader sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's a game changer, Tim. Level 5 leaders, they're a rare breed. They combine this intense professional will with a profound personal humility. It's not about them, it's about the mission. They're the ones willing to put in the hard yards, make the tough calls, but they'll never seek the spotlight for it.
That's such a powerful way to lead. And it sounds like they're the catalyst for the long-term health of a company, not just chasing after quick wins.
Exactly, Tim. And that's where the second point ties in, getting the right team. It's not just about filling roles with top performers. It's about finding people who are not only talented, but who also buy into the long-term vision and are ready to debate passionately but commit unconditionally once a decision is made.
Right, it's about alignment and commitment. But how do companies ensure they're not just gathering yes men around them?
That's a great point. It's all about fostering a culture where challenge is encouraged. You want a team that can vigorously debate ideas without taking it personally. It's not about agreement. It's about getting the best results.
Makes sense, Mark. And this moves us naturally to your third point, the hedgehog concept. Could you expand on that?
Sure thing, Tim. The hedgehog concept is all about simplicity. Companies need to figure out what they can be the best at and stick to it relentlessly. It's not about being a jack of all trades, but mastering one big thing that makes all the difference.
I see. So it's about focus, not spreading yourself too thin, but really honing in on that one big thing your company can own.
Absolutely. And sticking to that core concept without getting distracted by new fads or pressures. It's about disciplined consistency.
Discipline seems to be a recurring theme here, Mark. How do companies maintain that without slipping into rigidity?
It's a delicate balance, Tim. The key is to have disciplined people who don't need to be managed tightly. They understand the framework and operate freely within it, which ties back to having the right people on the bus.
And I guess this all circles back to leadership, doesn't it? A level 5 leader really drives this kind of focused and disciplined environment.
You nailed it, Tim. It's all interconnected. The leadership influences the team, and together they drive the core concept, which circles right back to the flywheel effect. Small, consistent pushes that lead to big momentum.
Mark, this is just the kind of insight our listeners need. Not just theoretical fluff, but actionable, proven strategies that have stood the test in the real business world.
That's what it's all about, Tim. It's not just about implementing strategies, but embodying them, living them out day by day.
Mark, it's time to get practical. What can our audience do to apply this information?
You know, Tim, ideas are great and all, but if we can't apply them, what's the point? Let's talk about how to actually use this stuff in real life.
Absolutely, Mark. I've got questions already. Let's break it down.
Perfect, Tim. Let's dive right into the concept of a level 5 leader. It's fascinating because these leaders blend intense professional will with profound personal humility. It's all about the mission, not their ego.
That's a powerful approach. How can our listeners, especially those in startups or tech companies, start cultivating this type of leadership?
Great question, Tim. It starts with self-awareness. Leaders need to assess their motivations and focus on greater goals beyond personal gain. They should practice giving credit to their teams and focusing on long-term success rather than short-term wins.
Makes sense, Mark. And this ties directly into building the right team, right?
Exactly, Tim. You want to gather not just skilled individuals, but people who share the vision of the company and are ready to stick through thick and thin. It's about alignment and commitment.
I see. So it's not just hiring top talent, but the right talent for your specific journey.
Spot on, Tim. And once you have the right people, you need to keep them engaged. This means creating an environment where fierce debate is encouraged, yet once a decision is made, everyone fully commits to it.
Interesting, Mark. Now, can you explain how this ties into the hedgehog concept you mentioned earlier?
Sure thing, Tim. The hedgehog concept is essentially about focusing on what you can be the best at and sticking to it relentlessly. For a tech company, this might mean focusing on a single core product or service rather than spreading themselves too thin across multiple offerings.
So, it's about finding that one big thing that you can own and excel at?
Absolutely, Tim. And it's crucial not to get distracted by new trends or technologies unless they directly contribute to your core focus.
Discipline seems to be a recurring theme here, Mark. How do companies maintain that without becoming rigid?
It's a delicate balance, Tim. The key is having disciplined people who understand the framework but can operate freely within it. This goes back to having the right team that doesn't need to be micromanaged.
It all circles back to leadership, doesn't it? The leader sets the tone for this kind of focused and disciplined environment.
You nailed it, Tim. Everything is interconnected. Leadership influences the team. The team drives the core concept, which in turn keeps the flywheel moving. Those small, consistent pushes that lead to big momentum.
Mark, this is just the kind of insight our listeners need. Not just theoretical fluff, but actionable, proven strategies that have stood the test in the real business world.
That's what it's all about, Tim. It's not just about implementing strategies, but embodying them, living them out day by day.
Mark, it's time to get practical. What can our audience do to apply this information today?
Start small, Tim. Identify your core strength and align your team around it. Encourage open dialogue and ensure everyone is committed to the company's long-term success. And remember, it's about iterative improvement, not overnight success.
Mark, before we wrap up, could you summarize everything we've discussed in a nutshell for our listeners?
Absolutely, Tim. It's about embracing level 5 leadership, which combines personal humility with professional will to drive the company forward without seeking personal glory. Then, assembling the right team, not just skilled individuals, but those who are aligned with the company's long-term vision and ready to commit. Finally, the hedgehog concept, focusing relentlessly on what you can be the best at and not getting sidetracked. It's all about discipline, alignment, and maintaining a laser focus on your core strengths.
Thanks, Mark. Now, what's the most notable takeaway for you from today's discussion?
For me, Tim, it's the power of level 5 leadership. It's a reminder that true leaders are those who put the mission above themselves, and this selflessness is what truly drives a company from good to great. That, combined with the right team, can really set the stage for sustained success. It's about doing fewer things better and making sure every step we take aligns with our core focus. The Marketing Execution Podcast is produced by Growth Stage Marketing. We are on a mission to see your company reach wild success using marketing pods.
Too big, accept dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the Marketing Execution movement and community. To learn how growth stage marketing clients reach more buyers and drive business impact, go to growthstage.marketing. That's growthstage.marketing.